To the issue of domestic violence in general, I think we can all agree that it is a big problem just throughout our community. I mean, throughout the world, really. Right? It's not a Caribbean thing, it's not a black thing. It's a issue throughout the world. Desiree, you mentioned that it's something that you're passionate about. So if you can kind of speak to like any initiatives that you have done, are doing, considering doing in this area. Let's make some good come out of this. I mean, it's why we're all talking about it to begin with. But we will never know what happened 100% in that scenario. But what can we do to make some good out of this very bad situation?
So, like I said on my live that I did the other night, I have never been a victim myself of physical abuse. But growing up, I was in a mentally, emotionally, all the other E's abuse in my childhood, right? And so when I became a police officer and I started seeing that, man, this is like really a big deal. And I started seeing women actually dying and children suffering, seeing this day in and day out. I knew that I had to be a voice for the victims that are still here with us, thank God, and the victims that have died and gone on. So I made it my one of my life works that I would talk about it every chance that I got, and I did, and I still do. I've done Heroes, which was a party where we raised money. Everyone dressed up in costume as a superhero, symbolic as we're here to save any victims of domestic violence, and that they needed to stop being silent and speak out against their abusers. 2017, I believe it was, Beanie Man's ex-wife, D'Angel, and Connie from Houston, and myself and some other ladies, beautiful ladies, put together a rally, a girls' rock rally. This was around the time when I think many, many women were being, was it killed or kidnapped? Something was going on in Jamaica around that time.
Yeah, trafficking.
Human trafficking. And so we did that then, and then that kind of just went away, because that's the thing. When things happen, you get a reaction. People react.
And then it goes away. We're right.
And they're in an uproar, and then things, either something else happens to overshadow it, or it just kind of goes away. But what doesn't go away is the lives that it has affected personally. You know what I'm saying? They have to live with those scars and and everything that comes along with it day in and day out. And that's what we don't see. But it does affect us all, and that's what people need to realize. It might not affect you personally, but I'm sure it's either affected someone that you work with, that you know, and they're suffering in silence. And I think that's the big deal, that we need to talk about it more. Maybe people can look for the signs, something, but something definitely has to be done.
Yeah, it's what you the key takeaway I took from what you said just now is, in another 2 weeks we will stop talking about major hype and curb.
Yeah.
But those situations exist, and people are still living in this trauma.
Right.
So, any ideas that you have about how we can keep focus on this issue in a general sense? Any ideas you have there?
For one, we need to stop making light of it. There's nothing funny about domestic violence. There's 1,000 memes being thrown around about the major hype situation, but at the end of the day, it's not funny.
Right.
And for anybody to find humor in that, I find that person is sick or has some mental issues going on. Holding each other accountable. If you know somebody that's putting hands on their husband, their wife, their children, whatever, pull them up on it. Call them out on it. Tell them about themselves. Don't know it and keep it to yourself.
Yeah. So, so we had and I sent you a link to this. We had an episode of Just Reasoning a couple months ago. One of my Facebook friends who was murdered by an ex-boyfriend. And so we next episode we discussed domestic violence in general. And we had a lady who is she's an expert in the field. her background is her. Cheryl's Voice is the name of her organization. Cheryl was her mother, who was killed by her father in a domestic dispute, and so she started an organization. And so we talked about this from many perspectives, and she mentioned that many of the people who she mentioned that domestic abuse against men is extremely common. And because people come to her and her organization, but most men are even less willing to come forth and talk about it because people feel them like a bitch or a punk, so they don't talk about it. And also, what you mentioned about being funny, like, people will make a whole lot of fun about a man being beaten, and you can see that in many different cases. But I think it's something that we as a people should take seriously. Whether man or woman. Yes, it happens a lot more to women, but it happens a lot to men. So it's something that we should take seriously and aim to address in any way that we can. So,
well, the thing about it is we don't have Hawk for men, right? I don't know about any, but I think there are support groups that they have where men can come on and discuss this, and it's a little bit more sensitive for a man. Our egos are a little bit higher, and we take things that have to do with sensitivity a little bit more serious than we should at times. But it would be a good movement to start to having a Hawk for men. Hawk is the Houston area women's center where you can go, right? And this is for women that are going through anything like that. We do have a center in Houston called Hawk, and they will help you. They provide a number of services, to help you transition, or even in some cases, move. So, it's very helpful, but we probably should have one for a man too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cop?
Police.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Definitely. There should not be any double standards or, what's good for a woman is good for a man. If we can have those resources for women, we should definitely have them for
Police,
men.
I have a question. I know you get called to domestic disturbances often. Have you ever gotten a call where the man was being abused? Has that ever happened?
Pretty sure.
So
sound like a no.
the call doesn't go out like that. The call goes out as like a domestic argument.
Disturbance. Right.
And when we get there, he's like, well, she hit me. And she's like, yeah, I had to hit him to get him off of me. And then you just start digging a little bit deeper and you realize, she's the aggressor. And I have taken women to jail before for putting their hands on their significant other. Yes, it has happened.
The one thing I want to point out is domestic abuse is about power. Okay. Right. It's about establishing power. And tonight we've talked about men, women, but it's also, I've seen women on women, cousins, sisters. I've seen mother-daughter type situations. I've seen cousins. I've seen brothers. So domestic violence is about power, and it doesn't matter who it is, but it's about power, and it's about people in an environment. So let's get that. Let's point that out as well.
Right about that.
Yeah, and in that answer, it brought out something that the lady for Cheryl's Voice said, that domestic violence is not always intimate partners. Right? It's domestic. It's within the home. I mean, it could be mother-daughter, like you said. It's violence within the home of people with each other. So
even dating, even if you're just dating someone, it's boyfriend, girlfriend.
Of course.
If you've been living in the house together longer than 6 months, it's considered family violence, and that weighs higher than just regular assault, regular domestic violence. Once it's family violence, that's a higher charge. And be careful with that, because once that's on your record, no job will touch you. No job will touch you with that on your record. So.
Leslie Christmas says there's a Fort Bend Women's Center. I've never heard of it, but it's probably there. You know, but any resources that are available, I say people use it. If it's just to check it out, if you know of somebody that's going through that, go get some resources and try and help them, because most of these women that are in these situations, it is difficult for them to make the first step. People don't understand how hard it is, you know. Especially if they have no security, they have no security net or no supportive person around them. It is so difficult to make the move. So, you know, if you can recognize it in somebody, please help them make that first step.
And people have to realize too, it's not one reason or two reasons or three reasons why they can't get out or why they stay. It's numerous of different reasons, from low self-esteem to they don't have the money.
Finances, all kind of reasons.
They're dependent on this man to take care of them, or they have 5 kids with him and they don't think another man's gonna accept them with 5 kids. So they settle for that. So it's so many reasons. But another thing too, we think of domestic violence as the hitting and the bruises, but remember, it's mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse,
financial abuse.
It's so many different levels to domestic violence, and it's not just man on woman, woman on man. Yeah. The children get abused too, and we don't look at that. We think, oh, Johnny got spanked, but Johnny's going through some stuff at the house too.
Yeah.
It's deeper than what we think. And remember, they say hurt people. Those that are abused turn out to be abusers, and we got to stop that cycle.
Exactly. That's another key point that came out in our talk a few months back. Is said domestic violence is cyclical. You know, people grow up seeing conflict being resolved in a certain way, and so they believe that's how conflict is resolved. Yep. If she's talking back, then I got to put it, you know what I mean? You know, so if you grow up seeing that,
right.
So something that we continually have to do is to speak to the youth, you know, the ones who are just out starting dating, you know, the teenagers, and have these conversations early on. So those are some things that we can do. You know, there are many ideas around, you know, way that we can get involved with that, within on different forums and going to different schools and having these conversations. But we'll never eradicate it from our society, but we can help 1 or 2 people, and you know,
bringing awareness. Just talking about it helps a lot of people. Look how many women came out after Kirby and said, "I stand with Kirby because this is my story." They didn't do it because they wanted to take the shine from her or to be relevant. No, they got that power. And they said, if she can come out and talk about it, why am I embarrassed? I want to come out and talk about my story too. So it's empowering.
Yeah. Kirby did like people too, though, so she might not be the best example. you know I'm right. You know Kirby was swinging on people, but
he was according to her, he was financially abusing her too. So she was like,
anyway,
I think I should get more.
And one more thing about Kirby too. You have to look at, Kirby was a police officer and it happened to her. If it happened to her, it could happen to anybody. It doesn't matter what your position is. Yeah. People think that there's like this look.
You have to
look a certain way, or
hell no.
And that's who's abused. No. People are suffering in silence, trust me.
It can happen to everybody.
Position of power, and he was a breadwinner, so
exactly. Right, you saw them cash apps. I control you, woman. What you doing? Yeah. Anyway, but she was still putting hands on that boy. Anyway, Desiree, you know I'm right. But I think some major news happened yesterday. The first vaccine in the UK. Let's roll out their program. Where they're going for the COVID-19 vaccine. You know, they started off with the elderly and the healthcare workers, frontline workers. I think that's a big deal. And in the UK, the second person to get injected with the vaccine, name was William Shakespeare. How poetic. You know what I mean? So,
the vaccine or not the vaccine?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that angle about what the vaccine or not, the vax or not the vax. But I think we can all agree, I believe, that we're not going to get rid of this thing by masks and social distance. We're going to have to do some things to really bring this down. So I think it's positive in the U.S. We should be able to vaccine, start next week. So I was reading something last night where it's talking about the Caribbean countries and the quote unquote third world, where the most powerful countries in the world, the Canada, US, Germany, what have you, those companies with their billions of dollars are buying up most of the vaccine. And they represent like 13% of the world's population. They have the most money in the world, but they represent a small portion of the population. So we're not going to get rid of this thing by just the rich countries taking care of their people, because we're very connected and people travel all about. So there's a program that the World Health Organization has put together where they're going to buy a certain amount of vaccine for these poorer countries, where they'll be able to, I think in Jamaica, for example, they'll be able to vaccinate 10% of the population for free. And those things are necessary. I call it vaccine nationalism or something, and people want to buy up everything. So is that a good thing that a program like that, where our countries where we come from will be able to get this free of charge? Is that, and Andrew Holness and PJ and all the people said they're willing to take the vaccine on camera live, for everybody to see. Is that a good thing that we're getting it for free? Especially?
More time we have to take handout, because if they're not doing handout, we're not going to get none. Right? And it is quite clear. Right? Some people say that they might try to kill you off. You believe that? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. As much as the wealthy think that they can do without people that are not as wealthy as them, they cannot, because there are just some jobs that they're just not going to do, and they need people like us that have to do that kind of job to survive. So they can't not vaccinate us too.
So them not try to kill it off. No, hey, I hear that. Go on.
They need the Caribbean, because sometimes they just need somewhere to go vacation.
Exactly.
If everybody down the dead, they don't have nowhere to go.
They have the place themselves. But anyway.
Yeah. No, because then they would have to wait on themselves, hand and foot down there, and they're not going to do that. Right?
Hey, so my question is, when they want to give it to us free first. Well, why we can't get it free?
No, we're not going to get it first. We don't even know when we're going to get it here in Texas. Right? They don't even know. Right? It's all speculation, because some people are saying that we probably won't even start vaccinating Texas until after Christmas.
Right? I mean, it's not going to be like regional like that. Right? Well, and every country will do how they do it, but it's going to be like categories of people. Like the most vulnerable. So that's something that as much as we talk about how Black people don't trust this thing, we are at the most risk. Right? Yeah. So that's something to consider as we, like, I don't trust this. And there are very legitimate reasons not to trust either this government or health, vaccines, I understand all that. But while we are the most at risk, we need to really consider what is the best path forward. I heard that, in addition to healthcare workers, all police have to get vaccinated. That's what I've heard. Des, you ready?
I guess I'll be looking for a new job because I absolutely will not be getting vaccinated.
Yeah,
don't worry, they're going to give the captains and the lieutenants and the sergeants first.
So you're absolute hell no, under no circumstances.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I personally am not for vaccinations. At all. I do not take the flu shot. Yes, I did vaccinate my son for him to be in public. Yes, I did.
It's a requirement.
My son
for
him to be in public school. But when he got older, there was like 4 other vaccines that he was supposed to get, and I refused. And so, yes.
So what if they said it? Go on, continue.
This is my thing about the vaccine for COVID. Yes, whoever wants to take it, let them take it. But making it mandatory, I think that's nonsense.
How about if it's mandatory? I mean, your son soon get it from school, so it may not be an issue then. But what if they make that mandatory to be able to go to school? Is that
the COVID vaccine?
Yeah.
My child graduate this year, so they can.
No. I said that, so it won't affect you.
Right.
But what do you think that is foul to say for you to come to this public school, you have to take the vaccine?
I can understand based on their theory and what they're pushing for the whole reason why vaccinations even exist. Based off of just that, then yes, I can see why vaccinating your child to go to school is necessary.
Yeah. So it's
they
fine.
can make it mandatory for employees.
How about for a job? What if police?
I see it coming. To travel, to get employment, to get government assistance, to go to the grocery store, to just exist in this world. I can see it coming. It's going to be mandatory.
So what if Trinidad said, to come to Carnival, you have to have vaccine. Yeah. You just not go to Carnival?
I've been to Carnival 1 million times. I'm good. I've had my fill.
So, where else do you like to travel?
By the look on her face, she ain't going nowhere no time.
I ain't going nowhere. I've seen enough. No time. I am satisfied.
It's I don't know, man. Where I am with that, Dwayne mentioned earlier, in some texts were telling about once they started vaccinating people in the UK, like people with allergies were having these reactions. People are, we're all unique beings. So everybody has something unique about them that make this vaccine do all kinds of things. We have no idea.
No, that's the thing.
Yeah,
we don't.
Well,
we don't.
Well, the people that were infected
that they've had is too small.
Yeah.
And
the people that were having issues in the UK, according to the scientists, those were rare occurrence. And being allergic to medication like that, it's rare. It's not something that you see normally happening. So and it's going to happen.
But they purposely during the test pools did not give it to persons with allergic reactions.
And you're right, they didn't.
Now, why would they go to the UK and give people that have
No. They knew. Those people who took it knew that they were already allergic, but they did it anyway. Because all of them that were in the report said they knew that they were allergic. Don't know why they still took it, but then
how is it that they can use the words rare and these things don't normally happen? This is a brand new vaccine.
Well, no, in general, vaccine, you have some people like penicillin. Some people are just allergic, stuff like that. So you have it happening. It's not a whole lot, but it happens. But,
so we're saying that those people are expendable because it's a small,
no. They're saying they were already recommending that if you have this allergy, do not take it. But you have some people, they're not going to tell you that they're allergic. They're going to take it just to see what happens.
Did y'all hear that 45 came out and said that it was a blessing that so many people have contracted it because it's the best immunity in of itself.
I'm not sure. I don't know why he said that because
I time for him for stop chat. and just got dead at prison.
I guess nobody told him you can get it twice.
My thing is,
you'll find out.
I'm not no big conspiracy theorist, but some conspiracies.
But big, not big, but big.
I mean, some just make sense. Big. How long have they been talking about this mark of the beast and this chip in your hand and in the forehead and all this stuff for years, for generations? My mother's mother's mother, right? And now you see the thing kind of just like transpiring, and you're like having to ask yourself, is this what it's always been about?
You got your chip already. It's in your phone.
Exactly. You going live on that chip right now.
It's on your phone right now. Who doesn't have a cell phone?
Hey, they know where we are every second of the day.
No, I agree with that. But why are they saying, hey, y'all take this vaccine, we'll pay you $1,500? Why are they so gung-ho about giving everybody this vaccine?
All right, so look, let's get real for a second. There are over 1 million people that have died worldwide from this. There are almost 300,000 people that have died in the United States from this. There are, however many millions of unemployed people because of this. Mm-hmm. How many tens of thousands of business shutting down because of this, right? So as much as we can talk about, is the vaccine the right thing? All that I just said, that is happening. So we have to decide, how are we going to get out of this? I understand 100% the skepticism behind the vaccine, and I don't put that in my body. I understand it 100%. But, we have to weigh both things here, because the consequences of the health and economic circumstances, I mean, you're seeing these lines for food here in the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the world. You're seeing, these just lines of, thousands, of cars waiting for food here, so it's affecting people, so it's like,
what? The mishandling of the virus and the unpreparedness of the virus is what brought us where we're at, not the virus itself.
So I would, all right, so, but with that said, that has happened. We are where we are, right? So within the US, I think it's leadership, lack of leadership is why we have the worst situation in the world. But with that said, we are where we are. Yes, Trump is going to be there for, another almost 2 months.
So bring those lives back, but them rushing to make a vaccine, not even knowing like what the outcome is going to be. How many more people are going to die from this vaccine now?
But William Shakespeare not dead yet, so we have to go on. So
I'm no doctor. I've learned a little bit about the vaccine and how it works, and so on. But I think it is a positive development, because if we don't do anything, then this is just going to get, if you look where we are right now to how we were back in March. Back in March, everybody was afraid of it, and the cases were a certain amount. Now, nobody's afraid of it, and the cases are as bad as they've ever been. People partying and kicking it like it's all done, like it's over. But it's as bad as it has ever been. Hospitals are stretched to the max all around the country. So you get to the point where hospitals don't have any more space, and not just for COVID patients. If you get into a car accident or a heart attack or whatever, they don't have any place for you.
The optics are not good, because in my lifetime, I've never actually seen people standing up in line waiting for food.
I never saw that. Food
lines, this is just not my generation.
I never saw that in Jamaica.
Yes. So I mean, it is a horrible. There's a lot of horrible events going on. And if we don't get this thing curved, it's going to get worse. Because
and I agree with that, but I'm curious to see, even if it's not something that will kill us, even if the vaccine doesn't kill us, in 2 years when babies are the rate for babies being born with 11 toes and 12 fingers, when that starts happening, then what are y'all gonna say? Well, at least we didn't kill off the rest of the population.
No,
that's true.
A few extra fingers here and there is okay.
Hey, I agree with you. If you lose a finger, then you have the extra one, so you're good.
No, let me tell you what. A lot of people had those kind of speculation when they started mass vaccine back in the 60s. You know, when you're getting vaccines for polio, measles, stuff like people used to say, I'm not going to take it because those are the things that are going to happen. It never did. It never happened. No, I'm not saying that people won't have side effects, but, mutations like that, it's going to happen. I understand your point. But I don't think mutations like that is going to happen because vaccines they don't operate like that. If it's operating like that, it wasn't a vaccine. Right? So,
have y'all seen I Am Legend or World War Z? There's some zombies running around.
Exactly, Tech. Exactly. So, Chris, you're gonna take the vaccine? Yes.
I never said anything of the sort.
I'm asking.
So, all right. So, my position on it is just like a new iPhone update. I'm going to wait a while. I'm not going to be first in line, but
even if you wanted to be anyway.
I haven't been called young in years. Appreciate that, especially.
But he's African American, and we're the ones.
I'm Jamaican.
We're the ones highly affected. So
I am Jamaican. Correct yourself. I'm Jamaican. I'm not African American. I'm African Caribbean.
He'll be lucky if he gets vaccinated by summer. I'm telling you.
But to answer your question, I am not anti the vaccine. Are there conditions under which I would take it? Certainly. Am I going to be one of the first ones to do it? Absolutely not. I would like to see it make some millions of people take it first, and let's see what happens. All right, the trial side was like 40,000 of the billions of people in this world. So, Joe Biden say want to within the first 100 days vaccinate 100 million people. Perfect. Let's see what happens. Let's see if things start going down. Let's see what happens, and then we roll from there. I'm not opposed to it.
Stand by.
Let me tell you,
exactly. Tell Pfizer to stand by. The so-called.
The vaccine is not a cure. It's a preventative.
Exactly.
If you already have it, it cannot help you.
And that
can't help you.
And that's something that I heard a doctor say last night, that, with all the good news about the vaccine, what she's worried about is what will happen is that the vaccine come out, people just fling off the mask and just go on back to business, and then it would just worsen the situation.
The mask has not failed me so far. So guess what? I will continue. Okay? I will continue, period.
I'm going to roll up the mask.
Are you gonna take the vaccine?
No. Give it
not a hell no.
Give it 2 to 3, and I'll think about it.
He'll wait a while.
He's with me.
Years.
And you, sir?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a scientist. Of course, I'll take the vaccine after Chris and Tex. Yes, I'll take it.
Good one.
I'm going to wait until
especially take it in 2025.
I'm gonna wait until those two guys take it. I'll come by their bedside, watch the reaction, pray for them, and then after they leave, I'll take it.